Oh, it's so good to be back in my recording studio. It's a great feeling, and not my most favorite opening though. The Kobayashi. Well, it's mostly because if you're not familiar with what happened in season 1, I had this opening really a lot, and they were very consecutive, and it wasn't very fun. So, sort of a small meme in this series now. As usual, though, if I nigiri white, I still play it out because, if you're familiar with an opening, it doesn't matter. You're always black, so I still play both colors when I get them. So black plays a nice move. Now, this direction's probably not that big. So I don't think black is choosing the correct direction here. And black is also ignoring the Hane, the head of 2. It's a very common Go proverb. Can I just push out here? That's probably a bit dull. I'm just going to split the side. I'm pretty happy with how this game is going. No reason to be super aggressive. Oh. Okay. Well, maybe I'll just approach this then. Wow, my computer fan is really going. I hope it doesn't show up here. Yeah, alright. I can't wait to get 4-6 to 70. That's going to be quite interesting. We'll be able to see a lot of those games before the other counts get all to 70. And as you know, the jump in level is... It's a big thing. It's hard to handle that jump, because if you keep playing players that are one level, when you all of a sudden play stronger players, it takes a little while to adjust, at least. That's very interesting. Black sort of wanting everything, and when that happens, if it's important to try to protect your own weaknesses, and especially if they're Mii moves. So at the moment, black has to defend the corner, and then that will give me time to play this diagonal at d11. So it's pretty much a Mii for me, and I'm pretty happy with just taking either or. If I play this directly without playing this move at d15, then black would be able to push out, and that could lead to a lot of trouble for me later on. And as you know, I typically like to choose clear variations that I can quickly see what's going on. Oh wow, that's a good move, but I'm not really too worried about that, because that's not my goal. I'm not trying to kill everything. All I'm trying to do is benefit, get sente. Okay, so black attached back. There is something that's a bit annoying. I think I need to finish off this sequence, because I need to make sure that white's strong enough before Tenuki. So I'm going to pressure the black group a little bit more. Oh, black didn't even play the tiger's mouth. Black definitely should have, because that's not only more eye space, but it threatens white on the outside as well. Now white is very strong on the outside, but there's also the Atari move, which is a big follow-up, but also, oh wow, That is a good feeling, forcing my opponent to play that move. Okay, so locally, black is more or less alive. If black blocks here, it's definitely alive, and also there's the attachment, which I can't really block because black could cut. Or even if black descends, that's an eye already. So the work is done here. I don't need to continue playing in this lower left area. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. We're going to push and cut now because we do extend. That's a very weak shape, so I don't think we have any issues there. I paused there a little bit because that move really surprised me. I immediately assumed that my opponent will block, which is the normal move, but it's not a big deal for us though. Wow. Okay, a lot of options here. I'm going to just extend here first. I think if white gets the extension, I'm pretty sure black is just 100% dead. Right now, the outside has a big weakness. There is a wedge though. I have to watch out for that. So I'm going to not exchange anything in the middle yet. Okay. It looks like we are in need of a Tsuji. Okay, I think the simplest thing is just to connect actually, because I'm also guaranteed to win the capturing race that way. But I don't want to exchange the Atari first. I was looking at the cut and some kind of squeeze, but I realized that it doesn't actually work. It only looks like it's working, but I don't have enough liberties to do a clean kill. Maybe I'll show that variation at the end of the game. I think I can just block on the outside and diagonal. No, I don't even need to diagonal. I don't even need this mouse stealing oil stuff. I can just reduce the liberties. Black doesn't have enough. It's very clear. After black connects, there are 3, and white has 3, and it's white's turn. But because black exchanged these moves, white reduced an extra liberty here at h16. So that means the Hane is not even Sente. That means I have a lot of benefits on the right side. If black Hane is in Sente, black could just live, but now it's just gotta die. The capture is actually a very greedy move because black must realize that this group is in danger, but black is threatening my outside weakness as well before doing something in the lower right. Okay, so black extended and now black has to Hane to make the group alive. Now, even though after black Hanes, the local, it's hard for black to make this locally alive, but unfortunately, because of a lot of Sente moves, I'm not able to kill it. But I don't need to completely kill it. All I need to do is attack it and benefit from it. So I'm going to force black to live, and then we're going to go back to the upper side, and we're going to make the right side into territory. Territory-wise, black doesn't really have that much, particularly because of the left side. The left side was... Oh, that was strange. I think Fox has this new feature now that when your opponent resigns, sometimes the room automatically closes. So what happened there was, I think my opponent resigned, and the game just disappeared. So hopefully I can just quickly talk about the fight on the lower side. Yeah, and the two main reasons that black lost is, first, black kind of played a little bit slow. Didn't really take the open areas as quickly. That's a relatively small reason. One big reason is the left side. Black is all in the first and second line, but white is very strong on the outside. So this is not an equal trade. So getting Gote here for black, that's definitely a big loss. And then the second mistake was starting this really big fight. I don't think that's really necessary. In this situation, if I were black, I think I would just cap. Even though locally it's not the best result, but because white is so strong, you don't really want to go so deep inside. When white, if you play the shoulder hit and white pushes and cuts, then no matter what happens in the fight, white has this backup on the left, and white's going to have a very clear advantage in the fight. The other thing I was talking about was like this some kind of squeeze. So what I was looking at was this cut and Atari this way, but it doesn't actually work because black can extend an extra time, and when white Atari is in black captures, it's actually an Atari. So in this sequence, it will end up as a ko. But that's not something what I want, because a ko is, black will get two moves somewhere else, and that's not something I want. So, for example, black would wedge and push through. Even though black captured this, but white captured this, but white spent an extra move here, and I don't think that's desired. So that's why I didn't choose that variation. I simply connected, and that was enough because black has 4 liberties, but white has 5. So white doesn't have any issues here. And that was that. Getting the big places, playing clear moves to gain an advantage, and then playing the right moves during the fight as well. Great stuff. Let's roll the next opening. And we have a 5. I believe that's the unorthodox. Unorthodox. Let's do it. I wish I had more games on this account because it's really the most fun account. It's fun because it's an opening that no one ever expects, but it's also like really hard because each one of these stones is pretty much doing something else, and it's hard to use all of the stones. So I'm going to take the Tengen the next move to complete the unorthodox. My rule of thumb is that in these openings, I can't immediately deviate from what I'm doing. So, for example, if I just Tanuki'd my opponent's shoulder hit at my 3-3, then it would be a really big loss. So I don't necessarily immediately play the opening, but I still try to play the opening moves to the best of my ability. So, like, for example, here, I play the Tengen now because that's required for the opening that I'm required to play in this game. Alright, so black didn't respond, and I'm going to pincer this group because after the push, it's actually kind of hard for black to... oh, well, okay, they just responded. Okay, I actually am a little bit surprised here. Kind of expected black to not respond. Now, normally I would say you shouldn't extend from both sides of a start point, but since we have the Tengen, we might as well do it. I'm going to extend here because I don't want black to just Hane. I already have the stone on either side. I'm going to try to get black to fight. This is actually a good example of black just not actually knowing the Joseki. Black's not supposed to play these moves, actually. Black is supposed to just Hane connect. Not only white has the ladder, but black forgot to make the second line Hane exchange. And the ladder is because after black Hanes, there is a cut, and that cut results in a ladder. This is kind of interesting. I've never played this before. I'm pretty sure I need to Atari though. If I don't Atari, then my group in the corner also doesn't have that many liberties. Yeah, so I need to answer this Ko threat, but I can either connect, which is an extremely aggressive move, or I can extend on top and then capture the 2 black stones. The extend on top is more... You know what? I'm going to connect. I want to see what my opponent does. The extend on top is clear because it's basically forcing black to finish the Ko. If black continues fighting, white would have more and more Ko threats. But the connection is definitely way more complicated. So I need to capture now, because each thread is important. But black made a big mistake here. Black forgot to cut in the middle, because now black doesn't have any co-threats left. So locally black has lost out in this fight. Black will be able to push through though. That's actually quite big. But not as big as what we gained here in the lower left. It's kind of an interesting result here, forcing the Ko. It's still a very good result because not only this is like iron solid, but also white has a lot of good expansion moves. Like all of these, even my Tengen Stone is at a very good position because I'm expanding the Moyo with that stone. So very happy with this result actually. Black definitely should have extended, though. That threatens the corner. Now, after white Atari's there, the corner is very safe. So I don't even need to respond if black diagonals. Okay, that's definitely too early because it's going to help white a lot. Should I just approach? I can keep expanding, actually. But right now, I have two openings. So if I just defend one, it's not really all that efficient, and that's when you know you should play in the open area, like approaching a corner, because defending here requires another defense, so that's not going to be very efficient. Whoa, block that way. That's so good for white. That's so good for white. I mean, normally in the Joseki, black is supposed to, well, black's not supposed to have the second two space extension, so the local result is very good for white. But you do have to be a little bit careful because black has the second line peep, and you can't let black have that. So that's why I exchanged that. Okay, so now I'm going to make this 2-space jump because I'm going to close off the top side and continue expanding my influence here. Yep, here we go. Okay, so this is a move that I really don't think is a good strategy, but I see that all the time. It's just like invading really deeply without even thinking about anything that goes on. There's just no way that black can live because white's just so strong in the corner. So white doesn't even have to think for a second before blocking on the other side. So it's a perfect example of a super aggressive move that doesn't have any backup. And when you're behind, you should play aggressive moves, but you shouldn't play unreasonably aggressive moves that have no chance of doing anything. And this attachment is the second option. So it's just very illogical and it just won't work. And it's just very obvious that it won't work. I don't have to be I don't even have to be 5-dan to know it doesn't work. It's just so unreasonable. And after I kill this, then that's definitely going to win the game for us. Okay, I'll just defend this because that will stop black from thinking about anything else. And then we'll just do some reduction moves on the top. And then that's the game. Yep. So if you think you're behind or something is getting, your opponent's moil is getting too big, you need to actually play reasonable moves and not just crazy moves. It's one thing knowing when to when you need to invade. That's one skill. But another skill is knowing what moves will work and what moves won't. And so by attaching something like this, it's just playing a move that will obviously not work. Okay, I don't know why I extended there. I was looking at the cut, but then I realized that block actually has quite a lot of space here. So I decided kind of last minute not to do that. And by the way, that's not a very good strategy. You shouldn't think of a move and then decide on another move last minute. It's not very good. Okay, I'm gonna hunt on the first line to see if my opponent. Oh, I could have just pushed actually, and that would have been the clearest way to end this. Okay, so I've accidentally set myself up for a little bit of a problem, but it's not a huge deal. Black is trying to outread me here with some tricks here, and I'm trying my best to defend against them. It looks like we're okay. Okay, we just captured the 2 stones, and how is black ever going to live inside? That's definitely not enough space. So we are fine. Yeah, the moral of the story is definitely not play these super aggressive moves that obviously don't work. If your opponent's just a little bit stronger than you, or just generally more reasonable than you are, that strategy is gonna fall through like very quickly. So I'm barely thinking now because I just have to reduce a little bit of the eye space, and it's not going to live. So it looks like there is a gote eye here on the left side. Black is trying to make the other eye. And we have to make sure that they don't. So, and whenever you're in a situation like this, no matter how much of an advantage that you have in the beginning, you always have to read. And there's just countless times where I didn't realize, or I just didn't read enough, and my opponent made it alive. And no matter how much of an advantage that you have to begin with, if you don't read, then your opponent will live. That's just how it is. So make sure you're reading through and looking at these variations while you're playing. It's probably one of the most. It's like an obvious thing, but it's something that that's hard to keep up. because you just feel like, oh, it's just not gonna live. I can do anything and it's gonna die, and that's entirely not true. You can probably kill it, but you can't kill it by playing any move. That's for sure. So just make sure you're reading enough and looking at enough variations. So always read. It's the number one. It's my number one tip. Yeah. So this is a little bit tricky because we have a situation where there is a cut weakness, but it's not a big deal. Black will definitely be able to benefit from attacking us, but that's just something that we have to accept. So here black is just being greedy, and it's actually not a good trade because black would have had the side territory, but now it's all gone. I'll just keep playing for a little bit. It's probably almost fast forward time, but since the middle is still kind of unclear, I guess I'll just finish up the middle before we get into endgame. And by the time we do get to endgame, then we don't need to continue because it's really, really clear now that black is way behind at this point. Okay, so this lower left corner result was relatively good for white, and then black played a lot of unreasonable invasions, and they were just generally too aggressive, which in most cases could end up in 50-50, but if you can read well and see most of the variations through, then it's 100% win. All right. And we always get these crazy fighting, attacking situations for the Unorthodox Opening, so that's always fun. All right, we've got the regular Chinese. Let's go. Wow, it's actually quite rare that we get to play black and my opponent doesn't just run away. Sort of like the fox culture, which is a bit of a poisonous thing that a lot of people like to play black more, so they just resign when they nigiri white. So if that becomes an issue, I might start to play more black openings, just kind of even it out. My goal is to have a sort of half and half. That would be the ideal situation. So if you've been tuning into the membership videos, you'll know about the diagonal, and it's definitely a better move than the extension in most cases. So my opponent just extended on the bottom. It's not really one of the more popular opening moves, but it's pretty much just limiting the development of the 3-4 point. I just played a approach here. You can obviously approach on the top and expand on the top. Oh wow, this move is quite slow. It's really slow actually. I don't know why white Atari'd here. It's definitely not an urgent move in the opening. A very popular setup for the Chinese opening is the approach and large knights move. When black does that, it kind of indirectly helps a little bit with white's invasion. Okay. So what I really like to do a lot is defend with a diagonal with a large knights move. I don't know, there's some nostalgic reason about that. Like I've always got to keep the corner before when I play like that. But I mean, it's just, it's slightly more efficient obviously than the small knights move in diagonal. But it's kind of like a mood thing. It makes me kind of happy when I get to defend the diagonal with the large knights move. I don't know, it's just something about that shape. Okay, so white connected. It's a very heavy move. I wonder if we can attack this a little bit more. Okay. Let me just jump up here. I definitely don't want white to easily invade. And this setup goes very well with the upper right corner. But by jumping up, I'm also pressuring the stones, the white stones. Okay. So I don't really want to descend, but I think I might have to. I think I have to descend, which is a little bit unfortunate. Yeah, wow. All very good moves by my opponent. I'm going to have to kill it, but then white can block and jump out. Very good sequence by white here. I'm not going to touch this quite yet. I'm just going to extend this back and continue my setup. There's quite a bit of aji here with my two stones, so they're not completely dead, which means it's a small loss for black, but because there's so many ways to to get forcing moves, I think it's still a acceptable result. Okay, white invaded here. I need to pick my variations well. I would rather have white jump out than... Oh, white didn't jump out. Okay. Oh, in this situation, I probably should have just... okay. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have played like this. Because I couldn't Tiger's Mouth. White could Atari and push in Hane. And my shape is just not very good. Even though white lives like this, look at how strong black is. I can just do a jump up to keep expanding. But now I do have to think about invading white on the bottom. I can't just let white get away with all of that territory for free. Or I need to make the center really efficient. That's also kind of hard. This just feels way too deep. I have literally 7 stones in a row. Come on. What do you think they are? Toys on the wall? I'm going to definitely have to play aggressive moves here, for sure. There's no way I can just let white get away. Whoa, okay. Well, that sets them up for a peep here, which is very comfortable for me. And I can still try to enclose again. It's actually looking very dangerous. One tip when you're trying to escape is also try to make eyes while doing it. So a tiger's mouth would have been better for white compared to this extension move, because this peep really just takes away the eye. And it's going to be hard for white to build eye space after that. I'm fairly confident in my enclosure outside. And if white has to jump to the right to try and make eyes, I also feel pretty confident about preventing eyes. But it's, of course, really, really risky. Every single move has to be pretty much perfect. Just one not careful enough move can result in, well, white living, and we're going to lose. So we have to be very, very careful with each move. Now, white has one eye. We can't let white get the second eye. It doesn't look super difficult, though. There's some outside stuff that we have to worry about, but it seems okay. Well, we get the push now. That's pretty much done. White doesn't have enough space. Interesting. I think I need the tiger's mouth, though, to have strong enough shape, and then we'll just peep the peep out all the eyes, and then we'll slide in to keep reducing the eye space. This is definitely not a walk in the park. This is pretty difficult because we have to defend against a lot of the outside moves, which are all possible. You know, as white, all they have to try and do is make one variation work. But as the side that kills, you have to make sure none of the variations work, and that is a huge task in comparison. But at the moment, white doesn't have any eyes, so it looks pretty straightforward from this point. And also white connected, so that also eliminated one of the eyes. Oh, one of the weaknesses on the outside. Well, that's all fine for me because white only has one eye. I just poked everything. I just poked everything out, so I should be good. Got to be a little bit careful here. Let's make the empty because I think there's less variations. If I cut on the left side of the white move, it looks like there's going to be more variations, but I feel like this one's the clearest. We're just gonna, we just have to, because we pretty much let white entirely into our territory, and if we don't kill, then white's going to be way ahead in points. I was going to say white probably will win, but actually that's not even the case. Even if white lives, black can easily invade on the bottom, and that's pretty easy. So the division, because the invasion on the bottom is so easy, even if white lives, it's still probably pretty close, because black's outside is really quite strong. And the good thing about the fight is that we also got the diagonal on the right side, which means we're pretty much connected. So if white tries to do some capturing race with the outside, it won't really work because I can just connect back, or I can just make it alive. So that move really helps out with the outside, which is one of the reasons why I played it to begin with. So I'm not really worried about capturing races at all. I don't even know what to do now. It's pretty straightforward. I just try and jump. Yeah. One thing that I was pretty worried about is white trying to cut me off in the middle. After white connected here and let me protect this weakness, then I was very confident that we were definitely going to win this game. And, well, we're going to kill the group. Well, that's the same as winning the game. Yeah, so a lot of violence today, which we used. We successfully killed 2 dragons today. I hope that gives you a good idea of how to kill a sequence. This is by no means a lecture video, but I think the main takeaway for today is how difficult it is to kill groups compared to live groups. It's really hard to kill groups because you have to prevent every single variation to not work. But to make a group alive, you just have to make sure one variation works for you. And there we have it. Another dragon slain. And our next win. So we don't actually have that many wins on my regular accounts. I have 6 wins on this account. So actually at this point, I think the game is fairly close. White has a lot of aji here, so I would actually be tempted to even play something here immediately as white to defend against it. Even though white took away the top territory, black is super thick, so it would be easy for black to expand this middle territory, which is what we did in the game. But if it's kind of even a little bit later stage, then this wall would be much less useful. So if you let your opponent get away with territory like that, you have to make sure that your wall has enough use. Alright, so it's been 3 games. I think we're going to just call it a day. We're going to roll the next opening. Okay, nice. Hopefully we'll have some Taisha. Oh no, it's not Taisha. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, I would appreciate it if you drop a like. And I will see you next time.